Well, how y'all doing? Jeremy Jack here. It's Saturday, and you know, if you're like me, you're probably very aggravated. I mean, if you are a person whose eyes are open and you see the dystopianism that's happening around us, and the walls that they're working on trying to close us all in. This made to conform to what they want you to conform to. It's very trying to a Christian, to a person who will not bow down. I'm understanding when it states in the word about, the patience of us. We have to, Christians, saints, we have to be patient. And that's not an easy thing. I'm filled with the Spirit of I'm filled with the power of the Holy Spirit, and I still am dealing with this patience. The world is becoming crazy. In it, we have to avoid allowing our minds to become crazy along with it. The natural man has no way of fighting the spiritual battle because the natural man refuses to believe it and or is just ignorant. Many people in this world, even Christians, are ignorant to the spiritual power. The spiritual powers of darkness as well as the spiritual power of God. And many Christians don't even know what the power is. They don't know what it means to have the power. I've always stated, and I've always been taught, God will move and God will do this. Well, sometimes God delegates, man. And that's the thing many of you don't understand. He delegated power to you when you became born again. Why are you such a weakling? And that's the thing. I, right now, am fighting not to be a weakling. I'm tired and I'm aggravated. I'm sick of going on here and hearing the lies. Donald Trump is a basket case, okay? That MF needs to go. There's no ifs, no ands, no buts about it. It needs to go. And unfortunately it won't. Unfortunately, it's here like a pimple on the back of an ass. It won't go away. And he is part of the it. And what is the it? The AI monstrosity, the demon, the beast, the dragon, at Revelation 13. But, I'm just sitting here saying, I myself, there's a couple of, if it was up to us and we were acting off of our natural men, we'd want to go to places like Washington, take things in and put things back in order. We can't do that. I can't. There's a part of me to love to, but I can't. Why? That's God's vengeance. I would hope that God is going to make sure that they get all the justice that these monkeys deserve. And now, this leads me to something. And that is that I've been reading, from 1 Timothy where Paul tells Timothy to keep what is committed and trust avoiding, and that was in, 6:20, avoiding profane, vague babblings of opposition, falsely called, science falsely called. It's error to God and His Word. Anyway, when it comes down to science, what's really aggravating is that you people, whether you're a natural man, whether you're a Christian or not, many of y'all people out there don't understand that they want you to back science, but you don't understand from their point of view. I'm not talking all scientists and all, But there are these people in high places. When you get to these people like Gates, and you get to these people like Fauci. Now, Gates isn't even a doctor, or not even, but he's involved with all these biochemical people and all this other stuff, sorcerers and alchemists of the day. That's what they basically are. And of course, tech giants. It's all opening up, spiritual portals and stuff. Now, the thing that really aggravates me is that y'all don't understand this evolution thing and why evolution, and not understanding what's above you and thinking that it's a big giant outer space play. By not understanding the truth of God in His Word, you are living in error. And the information that you're receiving, even from this, it will end up becoming error. Now you say, Derby Jack, you say the word it is an error, but it can be read in error. It can be translated in error. It can be translated without the spiritual power of the Holy Spirit to guide you. Yes, you could read this Bible and you could turn it into whole something else. You could turn God into something else. I've seen it done. I've been many, 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 many moons ago, been around a cult, okay? The Way International. Understand how they twist things, okay? Anyway. What is happening? And here's the thing when it comes to medicines and it comes to vaccines. I want you to think about something. When they started to tell people back in the day, when you had your dogs and you got your cats, you need to get your dogs and cats fixed. Then it was inoculations. You need to get your cats and dogs inoculated for this and for that. And then you get all kinds of apparatuses. You put things around their neck, flea and tick products that you put around their neck, and it's supposed to keep all. So the mammals are taken care of. Humankind has done a good job in our pets. We've maintained our pets, and we give them all the best we can. Sometimes we give them a lot better than we do our own families or even ourselves. They're our family. Now, I want you to understand something though. From a doctor's, a veterinarian's, a biochemist, they're just mammals. But to a scientist, I'm sorry to say, so are you. And so am I. We are nothing more than animals to a biochemist. When they look at our juices underneath the microscope, they don't see any different than a dog's juices that they put under a microscope. There may be a few little differences, but they don't see the differences in respect that you are a living mammal. That's from their point of view what you are. So you are an evolutionary mammal, just like the animals. So their training and their belief in your well-being is that you're a mammal, just like the dog, just like the kitty cat. We take care of you like we would take care of an animal. So this denates what we're supposed to be considered. We're above the mammals. A matter of fact, we are not part of the mammals. We are an intellectual breed of human. No other animal is called human on the face of the earth. Face of the earth. The disc. Come on, thinking mammals. Come on, thinking mammals. We're thinking mammals, right? We're intellectual mammals, but to a biochemist, to a sorcerer, to an alchemist, a mammal just the same. Your feelings, your purposes, your emotions have nothing to do with their biochemistry, have nothing to do with what they think you deserve. Matter of fact, they do things without your permission. Military complex will drop stuff on top of you without your permission. Chemtrails are a good example, but you all don't want to believe that. But you're a mammal. What do you, it doesn't matter what you believe to them. And so that trickles down to what government. If the biochemist and all the alchemists and all the science don't really give two shits about what you are next to Fluffy, basically you're no different than Fluffy. Fluffy, the little dog, maybe a little poodle. You're no different than Fluffy. Fluffy gets its shots and so do you. Fluffy gets its inoculation, so do you. Fluffy got to go see the doctor, so do you. You ain't no different. You're a mammal. They treat you like those zookeepers treat animals in a zoo or in the field to protect the elephants and the rhinos and stuff. Ooh, but here's a little difference. They used to pretty much, we need to save the animals from the humans. Right now, we need to save the animals from the humans. Again, we need to save the humans from the humans. We need to save the humans from the human monkeys. And that's another thing, you're a human monkey. That's why I keep bringing it up. I know it's an insult, but let it sink in. If you believe in evolution and you're a Christian, you're insulting yourself. And you're also an insult to God and insulting God and his word. Did God ever say that billions upon billions of years ago, God created the heavens and earth? It never said that. It said in the beginning. And a beginning, okay, God tells us in the word, throughout the word, how long. But no, they don't want to deal with that because it goes against the evolution. Long periods of time for man to become what he is. But he's just an animal, just a mammal. See, I need you to understand what I'm trying to say. These people, whether they're in government, the elites, they all don't think anything more than about us. When a politician's sitting there kissing your baby, it ain't no different than rubbing the head of your pooch. Because to them, they need your vote. Just like an owner likes to get his face licked by his pooch. And if you're a good citizen, they'll pat you on the head and give you a cookie or a dog biscuit. If you're a good kitty, you get catnip. But you're a mammal. In the eyes of science, you're a mammal. You mean nothing more than a dog. Nothing more than a cat. Matter of fact, you're not even any better than a rat. That's science. That's what the world wants. They want technology. Technology replaces man. Isn't that a hoot? The AI will replace your job if you have a job, no matter what it is. So you're just a mammal. What's it matter? Matter of fact, we need to downsize the mammals so we have room for the AI. Because we can keep mammals around. Why do you think movies were made like the Planet of the Apes? It was an actual documentation of what we have done to ourselves. That means that the greater apes, which basically the apes represented truly the humans, and the humans represented the apes. If you really understood the Planet of the Apes trilogy, the psychological twisting of it. And what it was that the tyrannical apes were what we are dealing with right now. The tyrannical government, and governments, not just this one. The only difference between this one and the other ones are actually listening to the idiot running this country and this government and believing in him and washing his butt when he wants it. I mean, and throwing money at him whenever he wants it. And yet, it doesn't matter. Because, like I said, at the end of the day, to all these monkeys in high places, all these biochemists, all these scientists, all these people who control everything, right? CEOs and all of them who are in those secret societies. Yes, they are really real. There's a Masonic and there's Illuminati. Yes, people, they're all real. I understand you don't want to listen to fringe knowledge and you don't want to listen to tinfoil hat people. But guess what? They've been right. And you've been wrong. And you've listened to the wrong messages. And you believed in the wrong messages. And you believed in the wrong news. And you believed in all the things that were wrong. And yet your pride, your stinking, filthy pride, will not let you believe it. So it's up to you, human monkeys, human mammals. Are you a creation of God or not? Do you believe that God made you and formed you in the womb of your mother? Do you believe that God created man from the dust of the ground, red clay, which means Adam and Eve were red and they weren't white? Freaking white privilege bullshit. I'm sick of that too. Y'all an embarrassment. Bad enough that this wasn't created by God, this skin color. I told you all that before and you need to get it in your head. That came after the fall. We're a representation of the fall of man. That's all we are. We're no different than blacks or whites, but this represents the fall of man. I don't want to believe that. White supremacy. No. Anyway, Jesus was white. How do you know? Oh, idiots. Anyway, I want you to understand, you are special to God. We are all special to God. And we need to know that. You need to know that. You are not a mammal. You are a created being over the mammals. You're a created being who is supposed to be watching over the mammals. You're not supposed to be pinned in with them. You're not supposed to be treated like them. And here's the thing. Sometimes there are people out there, like I said, who will treat animals a hell of a lot better than they treat humans. Unfortunately, since God has taken his hand of protection away from the world, his hand of peace is away from the world. I know a lot of you don't want to believe it, but look, you freaking theologians get too involved in trying to sort out what's going on in the Bible. Just look around. What's happening is happening. You don't need a bunch of theological commentaries to tell you what's going on. The world is falling apart. It's happening. The heat is building according to the Bible. It's happening. Why do you need confirmation? Look around. That's the world we live in. And that's why it's so hard for a person like me to be patient. I'm tired of being patient in a world that takes your patience and mangles it and gives you more problems to have to be patient with and adds more confusion and debasement. Every time you try to pull yourself up, and even with the power of the Holy Spirit to get risen above, They try their best to rise up along with you and give you more aggravation. The demons will never stop. The elites will never stop. For all of you people, let's get together and let's stop all the data centers. You're not going to stop the data centers. And here's the thing. If you were going to stop them, you should have stopped them a long time ago. But no, you were being fed cotton candy and not knowing what they were doing because you didn't pay attention, because you were high on the cotton candy. And that's what they continue giving you. Why? Because you're a mammal. You don't know any better. You're an animal to them. They can put a nose ring in you and lead you to wherever they want you to go, dear mammal. You think human is being above everything? They've proven it. You mean nothing to them. Literally, humanity means nothing to these monkeys in high places. So when you think of people like DT, I can't even say his name anymore because it's so detesting. Every time I do, or every time I see his face, I get this, it's like a hot dog that comes up 3 days later, you know. All of those people, anything in Washington that goes on, it makes me sick. Why? Because they're animals. They're the mammals. They're the beast of the field. That's right. The people in government on both sides, there ain't no good side, people. The left and the right are the same. And here's the thing. They're the beast of the field. They're the animals. And that's how you should be looking at them. As they look at you as being nothing but Fluffy, who sits on the couch and plays with the ball, you're the same. I want you to think about that for a moment. I want you to think about that when you go voting, what these people really think of you. They don't think much of you because they can turn against you after they get in. Isn't that a hoot? Why? Because you don't hold value. If they can get in office after you vote them in, you've done your job, you don't hold value anymore. Now, they got AI robots that you've trained, and now they're taking your job because you have no value. You no longer are valid. And how are you going to make a capitalistic world work? Capitalism can't work when there's nobody working. They're trying to still sell you capitalism, but everything that they're doing is taking capitalism away from you. So you can't even consider yourself a capitalist anymore. You don't have a job. You don't have any income. And people like me who have a job and who had income and who paid in, it's going to be taken away from me too. Why? Because I'm just a mammal to them. I don't matter. What's it matter? It's like they're treating us no different than you treat we got a bunch of dogs in the pound. Nobody wants them. They're going to overrun. We're going to have to euthanize them. So get all the dogs together and take them into the euthanization room and close the door and put on the gas, and so we can get rid of these mangy mutts. That's what they are, mangy mutts. I just thought you needed to think about that. So next time you see a picture of Anthony Fauci or Gates or any of these people, you hear words from the WHO and the CDC and all this other stuff, remember what they think of you. Remember what they all think of you. It's easy for somebody like Bill say, all we got to do is do a good job with reproduction, and vaccines, and we'll lower the population. How do you say that if you consider humanity? How do you say that? How do you think that way? And yet people give him money because he thinks that way. Think about what they think. The people who give him money, the organizations. If he thinks that way, they must think that way. Your churches, some of them give money to tech giants. You may not know it, but some of them do. Why? It goes against everything God is. We're not supposed to be supplying the money to the enemy, and yet we do. I kept telling you over and over again, and I probably will continue if I still have my platform, that we have the power to rise above with our intellect and our humanity intact. Do not allow them to lower what you are to God. And I'm not talking about your flesh. They've already mangled our flesh. I'm talking about what you are inside. Because the importance of what you are is your soul and the spirit within you if you're a Christian. That's what's important to God. And to God, that's very precious. It's very unique. Because each one, okay, holds a special significance. Each soul that God has created. Even the bad souls out there, when they were created, they were special. What they did to themselves later on, what the person did, losing that perspective. Okay, this thing is really starting to mess. It's trying to start over. I got to stop anyway. This computer's acting up again. Anyway, so keep in mind, you are not an animal. You are an intellectual being. You were created by God. You have power from on high, the spiritual power to rise you above from all this crap in which they throw at you. Do not allow them to lower you. You are better than that. You have been you're part of the majesty of God. You are a child of God with majesty. You are an heir to the throne. Do you understand that? Joint heirs with Christ Jesus. And yet, you're treated like a dog in the world. Think about that. I love y'all. Derby Jack out. I'm going to put a song on the end of this and keep praying. See y'all on the other side. Seen a lot of light with these old eyes of mine, hiding down some dusty roads and some bumpy ones in my time. I could tell you stories that could make your face turn red, and I've done things I'm not proud of that can make you turn your head. Then the Lord took a hold of me Keep my whole direction, my confused mind, he made sound. He gave me a life, he made me whole. He gave me his love and he made me his own. Now I'm a living letter, I'm a living word of life. I'm a living testimony of what the Lord can do to change a sinner's life. Now I'm a living letter, I'm a living word of life. I'm a living testimony of what the Lord can do to change a sinner's life. Was the kind of guy you never want to keep as a friend. I would use and abuse you and disregard you in the end. Did what I wanted, no one stood in my way. I would cheat and lie and steal on any given day. But then the Lord took a hold of me and it broke up and spore down. Changed my whole direction by confused mind, he made sound. Gave me a choice to live or die, to be with Satan in his eternal flames, with God for everlasting life. And now I'm a living letter, I'm a living word of life. I'm a living testimony of what the Lord can do to change a sinner's life. Now I'm a living letter, I'm a living word of life. I'm a living testimony of what the Lord can do to change a sinner's life. Change a sinner's life. Change a sinner's life. Change a sinner's life.